The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some Sadducees, those who say there is no resurrection, approached Jesus, and they put this question to him. Master, we have it from Moses in writing that if a man's married brother dies childless, the man must marry the widow to raise up children for his brother. Well then, there were 7 brothers. The first, having married a wife, died childless. The second and then the third married the widow. And the same with all 7. They died, leaving no children. Finally, the woman herself died. Now at the resurrection, to which of them will she be wife, since she has been married to all 7? Jesus replied, the children of this world take wives and husbands, but those who are judged worthy of a place in the other world and in the resurrection from the dead do not marry, because they can no longer die, but they are the same as the angels, and being children of the resurrection, they are sons of God. And Moses himself implies that the dead rise again in the passage about the bush, where he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now he is God not of the dead, but of the living, for to him all men are in fact alive. Some scribes then spoke up. Well put, Master, they said, because they would not dare to ask him any more questions. The Gospel of the Lord. We have today a very interesting Gospel. We have the Sadducees on the one side and we have the Pharisees on the other side. The Sadducees, they open, that is the first 5 books of the Bible. That is why they talk about Moses. They believe in Moses and everything about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But they do not believe at all in the resurrection. And the Pharisees, on the other hand, they believe in the resurrection. That is why when Jesus, after answering the question, they say, Master, because and upholding the resurrection. So interestingly, there was a belief at the time about a kind of a continuity of his life. So even after the resurrection continues. For instance, if I die now and I go to heaven, then I have to look for a seminary where I'm going to run as a rector. So I have to ask one of the angels, where is Mihill Seminary located somewhere in heaven so that we become the rector? Or for instance, you die as a theologian or let's say first year philosophy, and then you go to heaven with your certificate and you say, no, I did first year already philosophy on earth, so I have to continue that in heaven. I want to look for equivalencies and I graduate as a seminarian and I become a priest again in heaven. And things like that. There was a kind of a continuity to this life. And the Sadducees are asking this question. Now, if 7 brothers marry one woman, when whose wife will it be? Whose wife will this be? Will it be the first or the second or the third? Will there be some kind of fighting in heaven over this woman or something? So this is the kind of scenario that is brought to Jesus. And Jesus says there is something different about this life, the life to come. It is something we cannot imagine because we are used to this life yet. Of everything that is provided, we are used to food we have to eat in order to be sustained. In heaven, we don't have a body. We have glorified bodies which do not need food. So how does life go on in heaven? If I die as an old person, will I appear in heaven old? If I die as a baby, will I appear as a baby? And things like that. But we must not think in that way. Just take for instance now, if heaven and then some kind of thing still happens like that, because I've gone to some funerals and I find they put tobacco inside the coffin of somebody who has died. Like when he goes to heaven, he continues smoking that tobacco, or they put lechon or something that people would continue. But imagine you go to heaven and then, of course, there is no fire in heaven. There is fire only in hell. And then you realize there is no lechon in heaven. Burning in hell, because you say, oh God, I'm a bit confused now whether I should go to hell or to heaven, because you can find baboy there and the devil is roasting baboy, but in heaven there is nothing, because our bodies do not need that food and everything. So I'm just trying to explain that life in heaven is not like we don't just transfer everything from earth to heaven. It's not like we appear there and we have to do everything like we do on earth. That is exactly what Jesus explained. But this reading is especially put during this time, in the month of the dead, to be able to console especially those who have lost their loved ones. Because remember, the Sadducees believe in the Pentateuch, they believe in Moses, they believe in Abraham, they believe in Isaac, they believe in Jacob. So Jesus turns everything around and he tells them, even Moses believes in the resurrection, because he believes in the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and you too, you believe in that. It is true, they all died, so you cannot say he is the God of the dead. No, he is the God of the living. So for us Christians, death is not an end. It is not the ultimate switchover that to say that once you die, it is finished. It is a transition. It is a doorway to another life, a more superior life, a life which is eternal, a life where people do not die, like he puts it in the reading of today. That in the next life, people do not die. We are all sons of God. We stand in His presence and we continue praising Him. So like St. Paul says, even when we mourn for our dead, we do not mourn like people who have no hope. We believe that as Christ rose from the dead, He becomes the firstborn of all those who have fallen asleep. So we ourselves will be risen. Our brothers and sisters who have gone before us will be risen, and they will join with Christ in praising God. They will see God face to face, and with the company of the saints, Our Lady, the angels, together we will all be praising God in perpetual happiness, in perpetual grace, and in perpetual fulfillment of whatever thing we want in life. So therefore, as we celebrate this Mass, let us continue to ask God for the grace to believe, especially in the resurrection, because this is the source and the summit of our Christian faith. Because the source and summit of our Christian faith is the Eucharist. But without the resurrection, there is no hope for us. We only have hope in the fact that this present life, is not an end. It is nothing compared with the life that is after. And the Book of Wisdom, chapter 3, says that the souls of the righteous are in the hands of God, and in the eyes of the foolish they seem to be dead. But we are not the foolish ones, because we believe in the resurrection. We believe that this life is just a transition to a better life. And therefore we must continue to invest in that life which is to come, by doing that which we are supposed to do as Christians, by loving each other, by forgiving each other, and by living in good relation with each other and with God.